The theme is going to be escape to worlds that you have not experienced before, meaning these are fantasy worlds that are not typical. They're not your kind of Narnia knockoffs or standard European medieval fantasy type thing. Welcome everyone. It's been a while since we've done one of these Craftsman workshop type live streams for my Patreon community. So those of you who are new here, welcome. I do these occasionally. Most of the time the live streams we do are going to be specific reactions to various fantasy and sci-fi media. But every once in a while I let you in on the process of writing and publishing, or at least the crazy way that I do it. And it is crazy and it is fun. And you oftentimes seem to enjoy me telling you about the madness. So here we go. There's been a lot that's been happening. I've been a little quiet, both in the Discord community and in the Patreon community since the beginning of this year. After that exuberant live stream that I did in Las Vegas, you might think from the silence that not much has been going on. The opposite is certainly true. But the real reason why I wanted to gather you all here today and what to talk to you about is to actually tell you about some stuff that's happening that's outside of my immediate writer life. First off, a quick update for those of you who are supporters of the Cantos of Arcadia Kickstarter. It's been delayed a little bit. I was editing it these past 2 weeks, and I guess this is the problem of having a super high-end teacher giving you mentorship. I wrote Cantos last year. Actually, I finished it last year, but I wrote much of it about 2 or 3 years ago. It has some very serious structural problems. I'm gonna have to go in and revise quite a bit, so it's going to lead to a bit of a delay. Not too much. I think we'll probably be able to get it out by mid-May. So it's not going to be one of those, delays that keeps stretching out into months and years. But it does need a little bit of work on the revision stage. It's just not there yet. So unfortunately, that means we're going to have to wait a little bit more. But the finished product, I promise you, is going to be better than if I just packaged it and sent it out today. Believe you me. The other things I wanted to share with you are some reveals of Wood Between Worlds projects, Cantos being a Wood Between Worlds published book. We have our first author, Ben Anderson, signed up. We also have 2 others that I'm going to tell you about in a second, but I wanted to share. Okay, here is the front cover for Ben Anderson's Strange Land, the first 3 books of the McGonagall Chronicles, which is Irish middle grade fantasy. This is the first book that we signed for Wood Between Worlds, and it's going to be packaged together with 2 other books, which are going to be which have been written already by Father Richard Renee and Catherine Hyde. I will share the details of that a little bit later in an official Wood Between Worlds post on the Substack. So if you are not subscribed to the Wood Between Worlds Substack, please do go on to substack.com and just put the Wood Between the Worlds and you'll find it, no problems. Okay, so a little story about the cover design for Ben's book. My cover designer, who I love very much, Stuart, he did all of the covers for the Raven Sun series, is leaving the world of independent publishing. He got a job being a cover designer for a company, and it provides him with a lot of financial security and stability, and he's no longer taking clients, even though he made it sound like he would keep on a few clients, and I was one of his favorites, and he was going to keep me on for a bit. And then later on, he decided that he had too much work, and he had to let me go. So I had to find a new kind of go-to designer, and I used reedsy.com. Those of you who are authors, pay attention, reedsy.com. It's a marketplace for publishing and writing professionals. And I found a guy named Patrick Knowles. Patrick Knowles is an English designer, as is Stuart Bache, who is very well known for designing the covers of the Rivers of London series. Those of you who read urban fantasy in any way, shape, or form, or fantasy police procedurals will know that series, Ben Aronovich's Rivers of London. Very iconic covers with just absolutely gorgeous, beautiful covers with very interesting font choice. It's not a font. They are hand lettered designs. So his specialty is he actually uses real calligraphy and scans it into the computer and then makes it into his own font. Super cool. Did this for The Strange Land. I love him as a designer. So we probably will be using him in the future for other projects as well. Very, very excited about that. Okay. Now, what was I going to say? Yes. So in Ben's book, in addition to one book by Catherine Hyde and a 3-book series by Father Richard Renee, are going to be our first formal Wood Between Worlds offering as a combined Kickstarter. The theme is going to be escape to worlds that you have not experienced before, meaning these are fantasy worlds that are not typical. They're not your kind of Narnia knockoffs or standard European medieval fantasy type thing. These are different worlds. One of them is inspired by coastal Africa and its folklore. Really, really cool stuff. One is kind of a mix of Irish, Scots, and Norse mythologies. And one is a portal fantasy that is kind of half fantasy, half sci-fi. Also a very unique world where music plays a huge part in the world building, which I know, Rihanna, you'll love. It's a really cool book. And I'm really excited about sharing it with you when we do on the Wood Between Worlds Substack, which I already mentioned. So that's going to be in June or July. We'll see when we get closer how quickly we can get it up and running. And really excited about that. That is going to form the basis of phase 1 of Wood Between Worlds publishing. The reason that we are going to have several phases is we are essentially building a kind of revolutionary model that not too many people have done yet. There are several new publishing ventures that are starting to do things the way that we are, but we have a small team, and we have enough financial backing for us to get this thing on the ground, as some of you know who the Cantos of Arcadia project, for the next 2 years or so. So these 2 years, we're being very careful about setting the foundation for what we hope is going to be a successful publishing house that is a showcase for what we hope will be sort of the new Inklings. And it's especially going to be featuring the work of the graduates of St. Basil's Writers Workshop. But that's phase 2. So phase 1 is there are several writers that I have respected for a long time that do not have the kind of reach and audience that they should. These are writers that have limited online presence, but not enough to be able to really move the needle. And I thought, why not take special editions of their work, package them in really beautiful book editions, also with sort of plain ebook and paperback, but kind of put focus on special editions with all kinds of bells and whistles, which is what Kickstarter likes, and provide an opportunity for them, even though they're not quite the type of author that we're going to be looking for in the future. Their books are very much in line with the mission of the new Inklings. So they have existing audiences, they have existing books. What we're doing is we're basically licensing out special edition rights for their books that already exist in the yes, Aisling, the McGonagall Chronicles, that already exist out there in the world. They don't sell very well, but they do exist, and most, there's some really good reviews of them out there already. So we're going to take special editions of those, package them really beautifully, and offer them as a kind of teaser or taster of the kind of thing that we hope we will be able to offer, but with new authors that have never been published before. That's going to be phase 2. So phase 1 is a small select group of authors that I know and trust that have an existing online presence, just not a big enough one. And I'm hoping that the combination of all of us, Wood Between Worlds on itself and the small online presences of each of these 3 authors, are going to help gather a small but active and warm and eager audience of readers who are then going to be interested in the idea of seeing new authors who are writing in a similar vein. And then there's going to be phase 2, and phase 2 is really prioritizing the work of authors who are in St. Basil's Writers Workshop, but not only. I've also received submissions from other members, other members of the Story Hearth writing community. So I am accepting submissions from those people as well, but I am prioritizing St. Basil's students. Why? Because that is one of the attractive things about St. Basil's Writers Workshop as a program, is that there is a concrete publishing outlet available for people who have a completed product available, so they can submit it and it goes directly to the top of the list, and I read it and I decide whether or not we want to publish it. I'm currently reading three new submissions that I'm really excited about, and now it's just a matter of finding the time to actually read them properly so that we can start the process of actually signing those authors up. So I'm very excited about the process this year. In particular, in terms of Wood Between Worlds, we're going to be almost exclusively focusing on phase 1. It's possible we'll get to phase 2 at the end of 2025, but unlikely. I think we're probably going to be focusing only on those 3 authors, so that we can do as much as we can to raise their profile. And also, we are doing a lot of work in putting out good, wholesome, interesting content on the Wood Between Worlds Substack, and using it as a primary attraction engine or a marketing engine to get people in that very vibrant community of Substack to start paying attention to what we're doing. So that's the hope, and we're certainly moving in that direction. In terms of other 2025 publishing projects for Waystone Press, my books in particular, I am now pretty much set on what I'm going to be publishing this year. So here goes. Cantos of Arcadia will be published. There will be a Kickstarter version of this book, which is going to be sent out to all the backers that have already paid. But I'm also going to be publishing a non-Kickstarter version of it, which may have a different cover. I haven't decided yet, but is going to be available to the general public. The other Kickstarter. The Kickstarter edition will not be available yet for wide use. It may eventually become available on an online store that's going to be attached to the Wood Between Worlds website. So that's the first publishing, the first book I'm going to publish this year. The second book that I'm going to publish is going to be the next volume in a Certain Land. We are launching the new podcast on May 6th. And it's going to be 2 episodes per month. So by October or November, there will be enough stories to publish the next small volume of translated fairy tales. I don't know what that's going to be called. I don't know yet what the cover is going to look like, but that's going to be published in the second half of 2025, the exact date to be determined. Then I am... Yes, the really big thing that's going to be published this year for Waystone Press is an illustrated hardcover special edition omnibus edition of Ravensun, the entire series. This is going to be the authorized author's version with all of the novellas, all the short stories, all of the ancillary materials that are available to patrons, now available for everybody in a single bound volume. And I'm going to have Ewan Craig design the cover for that. I was hoping to have Heather Pollington. She's unavailable due to her full-time work for a certain man named Jonathan Pajot, but never mind. Yeah, so Ewan will be designing a new design for the cover of the Omnibus hardcover edition. There's going to be a extremely premium version of this that is going to be leather-bound. There's going to be a less premium version that's going to be just hardcover with gold foil, and that's it. We might do a simpler paperback, but I doubt it. I think this is going to be focused almost entirely on the special edition. Now, the really cool thing about this is that it's going to be illustrated, and I'm not officially yet with the agreement on this. I haven't hired him on officially, but he is very excited about illustrating it, and he's currently reading the books himself and getting ideas for the illustrations. This is a young man who is named, with you, Mateusz Przeklasa, who is a Polish artist. A lot of medieval style digital art, and he is somebody that I've been looking at for a while, and I was so thrilled. I wrote him an email thinking that, well, a few days or whatever, as artists usually are, they take a while to get back to you. He got back to me immediately, and he said he was so excited about any fantasy property that is going to introduce the world of Slavic folklore and history to a wider audience. He's a really cool guy, and I'm very, very excited to see what he's going to do with the whole Raven Sun world. So not official yet, but very excited about the possibility of this happening. The next thing I wanted to say is that this is probably not going to be published in 2025. It'll probably be published in early 2026, but the book 2 of Children of Vasilia, this is the sequel to The Son of the Deathless, will be happening. I'm going to be writing that this year, and it'll be published in early 2026. And I have an illustrator for the special edition of that as well, and I'm going to share her with you right now. And that is Eloise Scherer, who famously just illustrated Jonathan Pageau's second fairy tale book, Jack and the Fallen Giants. She's very happy to get back into the fairy tale fantasy world of the Son of the Deathless, which she really liked. And I'm very excited to have her do the illustrations for the special edition of this one. So that'll happen in early 2026. Rihanna, if this is the do less stuff plan, I'm sort of scared about how much you were doing before. The do less stuff is removing things that are outside of writing and publishing, like removing all translation projects and really minimizing stuff having to do with things that I don't talk about here. So this year is all about recommitting to the writing process, and the fairy tales and the podcasts and the new editions are all a part of that. And the yes, the special edition Raven Sign is going to be tough, but I've been promising people to do that for a while, and it's time. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to mention, and that these guys. Oh, these are Ewan Craig's illustrations of the individual hardcover volumes of Raven Sun series. They exist. No, they're not available for sale. Not yet. They are awesome. They're fantastic. Ewan is such a talented artist. I love these so much. So these are going to the sales page for these are going to appear at some point. It's going to be a surprise. So that's the part, Rihanna, about me doing less is I didn't start selling these in January when they were available. So these artists are amazing. It's really cool to be able to work with such incredible people. Right. So those two new illustrators and Ewan are the really exciting stuff. So the final thing I want to talk to you about, I do need to run soon. It's going to be another crazy weekend, is a kind of the really big major announcement. So the authors that are signed up for phase 1 of the Wood Between Worlds publishing process all have limited online presence. Some people have done some things well in terms of getting themselves out into the publishing world, into the internet world. Some have done less, some have done nothing. Now, there is a process, a kind of absolute foundations to what every author publisher in the indie space needs to do to be able to at least have a chance of becoming financially successful with his writing, or at the very least to be able to make his or her books available to the wider public. This process is pretty much standard. There are variations on how you implement it, but there are certain foundational principles that you have to have because that's the way the business works. You have to have things like a website, an email list, etc. These authors have, like I said, limited or different levels of expertise on this, and in order to be able to help them reach their best potential, I'm using the platform of Wood Between Worlds Press to do a series of group coaching calls, one a month, for these authors, using them as guinea pigs to help them build their online brand as author publishers. Now, yes, they are not indie publishers in the sense that their books are being published by Wood Between Worlds Press, but it is in the interest of Wood Between Worlds Press that to have our authors have the kind of presence online that any indie author would, because they might decide to publish other books outside of the Wood Between Worlds Press ecosystem. And if they do the things that an author has to do to be able to take advantage of the internet as a sales engine, I want to help them do that. So I'm doing monthly calls with those authors. I've decided that I'm going to open up a limited number of spots for people to come in and audit those coaching calls. The coaching calls are going to take 12 months. They're going to start either this month or next month, and they're going to go through the entire process of setting up an author publisher business from zero to I'm ready to publish and go. This is a big deal. These calls are going to be very detailed. They're going to be on a much higher level than anything I've ever taught, including in my one-on-one coaching calls. This is basically me letting people into the process of how I became a successful independent publisher, and letting them into the world of the ever-shifting and ever-changing reality of what it means to be an indie publisher today. Helping them then set up every single phase of that individually, where each month one of the authors is going to be the guinea pig, where they get to go do homework and set stuff up, and they show it to me, and I critique it, and we build it together. This is a really valuable resource, and it's not going to be available outside of this particular setting in the near future. This is something I'm doing right now because I have to do it as part of my commitment to setting up the Wood Between Worlds Press as a successful publishing entity. And I'm not sure if this is something I'm going to do in the future. So I'm opening up a small number of audit positions where people are able to sit in on those Zoom sessions, ask questions, and see those authors having their systems built up. You won't be able to have access. In other words, you won't be among the authors who are having me tinker with their stuff, but you're going to see it happen live. You're going to see it. You're going to see these authors build their online business in front of you, and you're going to be able to take the principles away and do it yourself. I'm going to make this publicly available soon, but I wanted to let you all know about it because you guys are my special people, and I just wanted to let you know so that you're keeping an eye out for it. There's going to be a sales page that I'm going to send out by email at some point soon, and I'm going to send it to you guys first, so you guys have first dibs. It's not going to be cheap. Obviously, this is a high level training. This is basically me opening up the treasure trove of all the things that I've managed to learn over the past now it's more than 10 years now, actually, that I've been studying and working in independent publishing. So this is not the sort of thing that comes every day. So keep that in the back of your mind, and to keep an eye out for an announcement about this. I am not going to be keeping it secret, but I'm going to be giving you guys first dibs. So just keep an eye out for that. It's going to be happening very soon. That's it for me today. For you Patreon folks, there's going to be another live stream next week where I'm going to talk about. I'm basically going to conclude my little mini series on Grimdark, and I'm going to discuss the problem of endings, and we're going to talk about the Lord of the Rings. We're going to talk about Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. We're going to talk about the First Law series and maybe a few others, because there's some things that really stood out to me in my recent reading about how really excellent writers writing in certain genres with certain worldviews simply cannot stick the landing when it comes to endings. And I have some thoughts as to why, but you'll have to wait until next week to hear what those are. I'm overdue to do a Fantasy for Our Time live stream. And those of you who are here from Story Hearth, welcome. I don't generally share the live streams from my Patreon to Story Hearth. Occasionally I do, especially if they have to do specifically with writing. So if you're somebody who is nuts about fantasy and sci-fi like I am, you can join the Patreon as well. But yeah,